Welcome to the Ameratzim. This is the Daf Yomi edition, the Samach Aleph 61, the standard Daf Yomi edition. I've changed over to audio only. Maybe there's a picture of me on the screen. It saves a lot of data. Some of my files get up to 7 gigabytes, even though it's only 28 minutes. It's a lot of data. Audio is going to be much less. I have nowhere to store all of this, so especially when no one's watching my videos anyway. So we're gonna go to audio. We'll start the day with little Amaratzis. As you know, I've been invested in the stock market for a while now. I bought a lot of blue chip stocks. Eventually, I also bought this AMC stock, American Multi-Cinema. The stock went up from 10 points to about 62 points in a couple of days. I cashed out a lot of my blue chip stocks and loaded up to the point where I got to 120 shares of AMC stock. At that point, it started going down. I started losing money. It was a little scary. I lost $700 in one day. I decided I had enough. I have to cash out. And I left myself with a debt a loss of about $200. It's a good thing the next day it went down another 6 points. I would have lost another $700. So I just want to tell all you people out there that think about investing in the stock market. If you want to invest in blue chip stocks, invest in growth stocks, the stocks that eventually will always go up. Smart idea. But to day trade, to actively manage your portfolio, either be a professional hedge fund manager or be very careful, and it's not worth it. It's a big headache. It really caused me a lot of agmas nefesh, and following the stocks every 10 minutes I would look at the stock price. Drives you crazy. Actively managing a stock, it's a profession, and it's a crazy profession to be involved in. Day trading, don't get involved in it. I highly don't recommend it. There is a way to do it properly, and it's in the Torah, and that's the Amaratzis for today. It talks about in Mishpatim, Parashat Mishpatim, it talks about Shor Nagach as a para, Shor Nagach as a Adam, a bull gores a person, and then it talks about a bore, a pit that was dug and people fell in it. What's the connection to the stock market? As many of you know, there's a common phrase by the stock market. There's a bullish market and a bearish market, and bullish market means it's going up, bear means it's going down. And that's basically what you have. You have shor, which is a bull, and you have bor, which sounds like bear. So there's deep secrets in the Torah. They teach you how to manage the stock market. As they say in yeshivas, sarach iyon, we have to delve deep into that parsha. All I know is that I had a shor shenagach sa'adam. The bull, it was bullish, that it basically mitmoshel shalom, it went up 2 or 3 days in a row. It was going up 40, 50 points. What do you do with that? You have to kill the bull. I got up to 120 shares. 120 shares is a lot. It's also ad mei of esrim. That's how long a person lives. We wish people they should live ad mei of esrim, not longer than Moshe Rabbeinu. So once I hit 120 stocks, I killed it. I sold them all. I even violated a good faith policy with my platform that I use because I sold too quickly. Hopefully I won't lose any money because of that. So that's your daily dose of Amaratzis for today. They say that the Western Wall is Coastal Amaravi. Some people say the Western Wall is Wall Street. Wall as in Wall Street, and Western is the western part of the world. Israel is considered part of the eastern part of the world, Middle East. The Western Wall, you have the Coastal Amaravi, where you go to oftentimes search for Parnasa, to ask Hashem for Parnasa. And you have the Western Wall, the other Western Wall, the stock market. There is truth to it that if you really want to become rich, you invest in the stock market, but you have to wait time. It takes 20 years. When I was born, someone put some stock in bought some stock from Sears for me. I think 25 shares of Sears. Sears is worth nothing today, but it grew into a lot of different companies and a lot of subsidiaries, and now that portfolio is worth over $30,000. It took 30-something years. So there's a Wall Street, there's a Western Wall in New York, but it takes a lot of time. Don't actively manage it unless you know the sodas of Torah, unless you know the parsha of Shor and Bor very well. And with that, we'll start Daf Samach Aleph. The Gemara says, Amar Ula, Taf Samach Aleph, Amar Ula, Sir Sheshachtu, Kodem Matan Damo Shalpar, Lo Asa V'lo Klum. He says that we were talking about before, and the Mishnah says that if you do something out of order, then you have to do it again. So let's say you shechted the Sir La Hashem. Before, you sprinkle the blood of the par on the Kodesh HaKodashim. Loss of a klum. Nan, as the rule says, because you did out of order. Tan hiktim dam asar dam apar. Yachzor v'yazem midam asar achar dam apar. Misa yachzor v'yishchal mibayale. If we're saying, according to Ula, that you shechted it for matan dama, you have to go and shecht it again. So why in our mission does it say just go ahead and reapply dam from the sawyer? You should have to shecht the new sawyer again. The Gemara says Tirgum Ula Matana Shebeheichal. He says our mission is referring to not the matanos you did in the Kodesh HaKodashim, rather the matanos you did in the Heichal. V'chein Amar of Afis b'matana Shebeheichal. Rav says also we're talking about the blood that you applied in the Heichal, in the Kodesh. There we're supposed to have shechted the sawyer. First you shech the par, and then you apply the blood to the Kodesh HaKodashim. And then afterward you shech the sawyer. But in the Heichal you already have both of them shechted, so therefore you don't go ahead and shech the sawyer again if we're talking about the Heichal. The Gemara, the Mishnah continues. V'chein b'Heichal v'chein b'Mizbeach. Tana Rabbanan v'chiper es mikdash hakodesh zeh lifnai v'lifnim. Oh, Moed zeh Heichal. Talking about the kapara that you do in the Beis Hamikdash. It's talking about the Kodesh is talking about the Lifnai V'Lifnim, the Kodesh HaKodashim. Well, Moed Zeh Heichal. It's talking about when that you do in the Heichal, you sprinkle towards the Baruch. And Mizbeach Kamashma. The Mizbeach is the Mizbeach Hazav, where you sprinkle on the corners and then you sprinkle on the actual top of the Mizbeach. Ichaper Elo Azaros. Ichaper is referring to the Azaros. HaKohanim Kamashman. When it says the Kohanim is talking about Kohanim. Am Hakal Elu Yisrael. Yechaper Elu Alavim. These are Levim. Hushu Kulam the Kabara Achas. They all get the same kapara. Shekulam is kapram b'sayir hamishtalei b'shar averos. We know that the par and the sayir hala Hashem, they all are mechaper and tumas mikdash rekadashav. What about shar averos? That's what the pasuk is saying over here. That all the other averos is sir hamishtalei. Sir that goes to Azazel is mechaper for all these people. For all of Klal Yisrael, for Shar Averos. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Shimon Omer, Shimon argues on him. Kashem shedam hasoyer hanaseh b'fnim mechaper al Yisrael b'tumas mikdash v'kadashav. Kach dam hapar mechaper al kohanim b'tumas mikdash v'kadashav. He says just like the blood of the sawyer is mechaper and tumas mikdash v'kadashav. Also the dam hapar does that for the Kohanim. Just like the vidui of the Sir La'azazel is mechaper on Yisrael for Avera. Other Averos kach vidui shel par. Also the vidui of the par is mechaper ala Kohanim b'shar Averos. He argues and he says that what's mechaper for the Kohanim? The vidui and the par is mechaper the Kohanim b'shar Averos. Not that everything is mechaper through the Kohanim included through the Sir HaMishtaleach. He finished from being mechaper the kodesh. Oh moed zehechal. Oh moed is the heichal. Mizbeach kamashma. Malamish kun kapara b'fnei atzma. They all have an ability, or all their kapara is not dependent on one another. Their kapara is each to its own. What is that? What's the nafkamin? Mekan amru nasan mixus matana shebifnim V'nishbach Adam, let's say he did part of the sprinklings in the Kodesh HaKadosh, and V'nishbach Adam, and the blood spill. Yavi Damacher v'yascha b'tchila matana sheftim. You go ahead, you shecht another animal, and you start over the 8 hazos. We learned in the Mishnah. There's Rabbi Shimon argue when they say you shecht another animal, but you only do 4 more. If you did 4, you do another 4. And that's it. Let's say you finish all the matanos in the Kodesh HaKodashim and the blood spilled. No big problem. You go ahead and you shecht the animals and you go and start in the heichal. Like we said before, according to Reb Meir, he says you go ahead and you shech the animals and you start again. Again, they say you finish what you started. If it spilled in between the avodos of the heichal and the mizbeach, you just bring and start from this Mizbeach according to everybody. Now some mixes Matanos Mizbeach v'nishbach Adam. Yavi Damacha v'yascha v'tchila Matanos Mizbeach. The Rosh Shimon Omer Mimakum Shapasa Kumaska. Let's say Machlokas. Gam Matanos Mizbeach v'nishbach Adam. Let's say he finished all the Matanos that he does in the Mizbeach Hazav, and then the blood spilled. Derech Loma Akvi. You don't have to go shecht another animal. Amar Rabbi Yochanan v'shnei mikra echad. What's this Machlokas between Reb Meir and Ezra Shimon in the Mishnah? It's taloy on this pasuk. Midam chatas achipurim achas b'shana. Reb Meir savar chatas achas amarti lecha v'lo shtei chatos. Reb Meir says, it says in the pasuk chatas in the singular, so one chatas and not shtei chatos. Therefore, you can't. You have to do all the hazos with one animal. If you do part of the hazos with two animal with one part of the hazos with one animal, and the second part of the hazos with the second animal, that's 2 chatos. And they darshan the word chatos a little differently. Chitoy is a sprinkling. You can't repeat the sprinkling. So if you did 4 sprinklings, you can't do another 8 sprinklings, because then you repeat 4 sprinklings twice. Tanya Amar Rebbe Li Chalak Rabbi Yaakov Belugin. Rebbe says that Rabbi Yaakov told him that Lugin by Asham and Metzora, when a Metzora is Matayr himself and he brings a Loga Shemen and you sprinkle that also inside the Kodesh, inside in the Heichal, he said that's different. There's no machlokas between Rameh and Ezra Shimon. And everyone would agree that it's Asham Achas, and everyone agreed to the Rabbi Meir. The law is just true. V'atanya nasam mixes matana shuvim v'nishbach halog yavi log achav yasv v'tchila matana shebeichal. Ezra Shimon omrim makom shapaz nakumaskil. Again, this machlokas we had by the Dam and Yom Kippur seems to be the exact machlokas by the log shemen by the Asham Metzora. Gomer matana shebeichal v'nishbach halog yavi log achav yaskil v'tchila matana shebabonos. If he finished the matanos that he did in the heichal with log hashemen, then he just has to bring another log and start with the matanos, the applications he does on the thumbs and the toes of the Mesorah. Natan mixas matanos bonos v'nishbach log yavi lo'achav yaska b'tchila matanos sheva bonos. If it's spilled in the middle, then you go ahead and start again. Like we said by Yom Kippur, the same thing. Because everyone agrees, if you already finished putting the oil on the thumbs and the toes of the Metzora, so then, and the logo of Shemen spilled, so therefore putting it on the head, which you're supposed to do afterwards, the Shemen, that's not ma'akev. You don't have to bring more for that. Ema, so the Gemara says, you see over here, it's about the same machlok by Yom Kippur. They have machlok by Metzora. So the Gemara says, Ema li shana Rabbi Yaakov belugin. He taught me, Rabbi Yaakov taught me this machlok is Rameh and Rabbi Shimon by log Hashemen of an asham of a Metzora. It's the same machlokas. Amar Amar matanos harosh ein ma'akvos. The matanos of the rosh, which you said in this brayso over here, by the Metzora is not ma'ak in my time. Why is it not ma'ak? Because it says the remnants of the Shem, it's just called the remnants. The remnants are not important. It also says by the Korban Mincha, when you take the komets, of a korban mincha, and you're supposed to burn the mizbeach, and the rest is left over for the kohanim to eat, calls in no seretz. We know that is important, because if you lose the rest of the mincha before the kohen is burned the mizbeach, it affects the kohen that it's not effective anymore. The kohen is not an effective korban anymore. So no seretz is important. No, by the loga shemen, by the mitzora, there it says 2 remnants. It says miyaser. First, it refers to the ones you put on the boanos and the thumbs. It calls them miyaser. By nosar, and it calls to the oil for the head, nosar. So therefore, it's the remnants of the remnants. That's not kosher. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, we're going to Samach Aleph Amud Beis. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Asham Besora Shachtu Shalol Lishma. We have an Asham Besora that he shechted Shalol Lishmo. He shechted it, Rashi says, L'shem Olo, L'shem Shlamim. Ba'anu L'machlokes Remeir Lezer Rabbi Shimon. Remeir the Amar Yavi Acher V'Yaskal B'Tchila Hachanami Yavi Acher V'Yishchot. Now we know the halacha is that any korban that you shecht for the wrong intentions, for the shame, you're supposed to have kavana when you shecht the korban. You're doing it for the animal, for the korban that you're doing it for. If you shecht the korban asham l'shem all l'shem shlamim, the Mishnah Zvachim says that it's a kosher shchita, but it's not yotze l'baylam l'shem chova. So he says, in this case, where it's going to be the same machlokas, Remeir Remeir Damar Yavi Achav Yasa with Kilachanami Yavi Achav Yishko. Remeir says before, when you're supposed to have one animal, like says Chatas Achas, so therefore you have to bring a new animal since you did part of the kapar already. You did a shchita, so therefore, but it's ineffective. You can't continue anymore because it's the all about the Shem Chova. So therefore, you have to bring a new animal and shecht it. Here, by an asham, there you can darshan chitui achas, loshnei chituyin, and don't darshan chatas achas. It can actually be 2 chatos. Here it says asham achas only so it says it has to be 1 animal. So therefore, there's no takana, and he doesn't get kapara. Maskif le Rav Chisda v'ha osoksiv. So Rashi says, Maskif Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda asks a question on a mayor. Even on a mayor, there should be ein lo takana. Osoksiv, it has to be that one. Now, when you bring the korb, the asham and the mitzora, you have to do a tnufa along with the lug asham, and you have to shake it. You have to twist it around with a log hashemen. You have to wave it with the log hashemen. And it has to be that animal. Since you waved already that animal, and then you shechted it, so it's worse than chatas achas. There you can bring a new chatas. Here you already did something, so therefore it should be ein lo takana also. The Gemara says kasha. It really is a question. So if you go fast forward to part 2 of this series, Samach Aleph, the Lamdus for the Talmidei Chachamim out there. You'll see that I interpreted the Gemara according to Rashi right now, and the Gemara says kasha, and I answered the kasha of the Gemara with Tosas Pshat in the Gemara that really we're not talking about an asham Masora shachtu shalol lishma. We changed the girsa. The asham Masora you shechted l'shem asham. It's just the blood spilled, and it will be similar to our case in our Mishnah, because that's what Tosas' problem over here is that once kosher with all the balam shem chova, it's kosher. It's kosher that you could eat it. It's not treif meat, but you didn't start all the process. You didn't start anything. And according to Rashi, would say that part of the mitzvah of an asham is the shchita, as opposed to a chatas, where the shchita is totally in the vidui. And if you just shechted shalol lishmo a chatas, that's nothing. That's not even an avoda of shchita. By asham would be an avoda of shchita according to Rashi, and according to Tosas it wouldn't be. So we would answer the Gemara's kasha with Tosas' rendering of the Gemara. Tanya kavashi de Rabbi Yochanan. They say ayin sham. Go look over there. Look in that next video. Tanya kavashi de Rabbi Yochanan. Asham Masor shachtu shalol lishmo. We have a brisa that's like Rabbi Yochanan. Asham Besor Shashachtu Shalal Shmo, O Shanasan Damo Lagabi Bonos, Hareza Ola Lagabi Mizbeach. If you shachted the asham Shalal Shmo, or you didn't put the blood on the bonos, it's Ola Lagabi Mizbeach. V'Torah Nesachem Nesaracha Asham Acher Lachshiro. So you see what, according to at least one opinion, according to Rav Meir, it was a good shechita, it was a good thing. But you have to bring another asham. You have to bring another asham, but you really can't bring another asham. It says oso, so you can't bring another asham. So you're stuck, and there's no takana. The Gemara says, we ever find where an author of a brayso or a mishnah says sarich, and he means ein lo takana? There's no way of fixing it. True, we do have that. Batanya Nazir Mamurad. Beit Shammai Omrim Sarich Havaras Tar. Or Beit Hillel Omrim Ein Sarich Havaras Tar. Let's say you have a Nazir that's bald. One of the things of a Nazir, when he concludes his Nazir, is you shave his head. So he's a bald Nazir. So Beit Shammai says at the end you have to actually take a razor and cut his hair. Beit Hillel Omrim Ein Sarich Havaras Tar. And so it says you don't have to. Amar Ravina. When they say sarich, he needs to use a razor to shave his hair. He has to do it, but he can't do it because he has no hair. So there's no takana for him. So he remains Nazir forever. Pliga derech Amar Abdas. B'Shamai Relezer Amru Davaracha. B'Shamai Relezer say with the same thing. B'Shamai Amron. B'Shamai just said that you do havaras tar. Relezer the Sani Ein Lo Boan Yad Boan Regel. Ein lo tara olamis. The Tanna Kama holds if you don't have a thumb or you don't have a big toe, so you have no tara. Lezer Omer nosin al makom v'yotze. It says you put it on the place of the place where the toe is supposed to be or where the thumb is supposed to be, and your yotze. Rav Shimon Omer nosin al small yotze. Rav Shimon says you can possibly put it on the left hand, even though he's missing the right thumb. A new teaching. When you take the blood of the asham to apply it to the thumbs of the kohen, thumb and the toe of the kohen of the mesorah, you might think you could do it with a kli. You catch the blood in a kli. Just like when you apply the blood, you do it with your finger of the kohen. So too, he has to catch the blood with his hands. And you might think also the blood you sprinkle on the mizbeach you should also catch with their hands. Just like carbon chatas you have to catch in a kli sharis, so to an asham also you have to catch in a kli. So what comes out? Asham mitzorah shnei kohanim mekabel mizdamo. Two kohanim are mekabel the blood. Echad biyad ve'echad bekli. One is mekabel in his hand and one is mekabel with a kli. V'zeh shekibel bekli. Balo Eitzlam Mizbeach. The one who is Makabel in the Kli Sharis, he goes and sprinkles on the Mizbeach. Balo Eitzlam Mitzorah. And the one that accepts it in his hand, he's Makabel in his hand, he puts it on the thumbs and the toes of the Mitzorah. Nan Hasam. V'chula and Tam Begadim and Nisrafin Beis Hadesh. And Divrei Rezer Rav Shimon. V'chamurim Ein Tam Begadim Ein Nisrafin Beis Hadesh. Ela Akron Hoa V'gamar Bo Kapara. Now, this is a corollary teaching what we said before. Based on the machlokes in the Mishnah, we said that if the blood spills in the middle, so you have to bring another animal. So which animal? The animal normally, the par and the sawyer of Hashem of Yom Kippur, you have to take it outside the Beis Hamikdash, and you have to burn it. It's matami your begadim, it makes your clothes tummy, and it's Nisrafin Beis Hadeshen, and you burn it in a place where you keep the deshen, the ashes. So according to Eliezer and Shimon, all of them, since all of them are valid, since you do 4 sprinklings with one and 4 sprinklings with the second carbon, both of them constitute a par and a sari of Yom Kippur, and you have to, they're matami begadim and it's Shalom Beis Hadesh. And according to the Chachamim, the first one is invalidated, and the second one is the real one, and that only the second one is matami your begadim and is nishraf al Beis Hadesh. So now we have concluded part 1 of our Samach Aleph Shir 61. We're almost done with the derech. This chapter 5 over here. I'm reading from the Art Scroll. You should also have a good Shabbos, and We'll see you on Motzei Shabbos.